Are you a giver or are you a taker? Hey, Jason here, and if you've been following the channel, you've been seeing me going out in Johannesburg, walking around, filming different events, different companies, different businesses that I like to travel, I like to go to and invest money with, especially vegan restaurants. And also you see me talking about success principles, and I focus on three main areas: happiness, health, and wealth. And today we're gonna focus on the happiness part because this is something I know I've been straying away from, and I'll be completely honest with you. I haven't been the happiest person this year. Even though I'm smiling now in front of you, there's still times where I have sorrow, I have guilt, I'm sad. And if you don't know my story, January 23rd of this year at midnight, my wife of 10 years, she had passed away. And she passed away in Colombia. We had 2 weeks left in the country, literally, before we was going to go back to the U.S., travel across the U.S., then move to Southeast Asia. And so that was a very changing event in my life. It devastated me. I lost a lot from it, but I gained even more from it now that I'm changing my mindset and focusing on being happy and who I want to be and the person I want to be in this world. And so that's why I want to really talk about this, because I see so many people, whether it's men or women, they want a relationship, they want to find that person, but they just don't know how to do it, or they just don't know how to connect with that person. And some of the things that I see, and I see it not only in person, I see it on TV, you see it everywhere, is even you hear it on the YouTubes and stuff like this when people are bashing men or bashing women. People are either givers or takers. And the truth is, when it comes to relationships, most of us just want to take, and take. And that's not how it works. When you start actually going through, and if you study successful marriages, and this is something that I did to become a better husband, because that was my worthy idea back when Cece was still here, is I wanted to be a husband that she was proud of, happy to come home to. You know, when I come in the door, I want to see her beautiful smile, just happy to see me, give me a hug, give me a kiss. And so I started really studying on what it meant to be a husband to me, and also my emotional intelligence, like what makes me happy. Because in the beginning, I thought Cece, it was her job as my wife to make me happy, like I owned her or something. And the truth was, it wasn't my job to make her happy. It wasn't, and it wasn't her job to make me happy. We had to make each other happy, and then give some of that happiness into the marriage, to the relationship, so the relationship could be happy too. And so, what do I mean by that? So, just to give you a quick breakdown of us, we came from polar opposite worlds. Literally, her family were immigrants that came from Trinidad and Tobago. She was used to growing up to seeing two-family households, two-parent households. Her family was a very tight structure. They had cousin day, all of these different things. And to me, I was like, yo, you crazy. Like, people don't live like this. And I came from the opposite. I came from Dallas, Texas, grew up in Oak Cliff, Redbird, and DeSoto when we finally moved to the suburbs. And then from there, but with that also, like, I didn't grow up with a father. I didn't grow up seeing positive male role models. Sorry about that. I didn't grow up seeing positive male role models as a kid. So I was born in 1982, meaning I was right at the tail end of the crack epidemic when the U.S. government was doing what they were doing to black and brown communities at that time. And I saw it firsthand, the aftermath. Like, I didn't see the good old days when everybody was driving good cars, everybody had money. I just saw horror. I just saw, like, this cannot be real. Like, how do people live like this? And so growing up like that, I didn't know what it meant to be a man. And my brothers and cousins at that time, they were teenagers trying to figure it out too, and dealing with seeing how they saw their environment go so horrible and figuring out how to do their life. And so literally I grew up alone. Most people don't know that. Like, I grew up alone. I didn't, even though I think I have a large family, I don't know most of my family. I know very few people. Even to this day, when I go back and people are like, oh, do you remember me? No, I don't. Or I just act like I do, so they'll just stop talking to me, because usually it's easier that way. And so growing up like that, I had this image of what it meant to be a man. Oh, I need to be strong. I got to be tough. Somebody come my way, I'm gonna cuss you out. I'll punch you in the face. Like, hey, I'm ready to fight any day. And Cece helped change me on that image, because hearing her talk about her dad, seeing her Uncle Chris, seeing other males in her family, like, and seeing how they were loving, they were compassionate, they showed a lot of empathy. I was like, yo, I never seen men act like this before. And so then I started realizing as we were going through dating and then got married that I had to work on my emotional intelligence on how to be a man and how to be a husband. And so one of the things I started doing while we were married, most people don't know, Judge Lynn Toler from the TV show Divorce Court, she has a book out called My Mother's Rules. And it's about emotional intelligence. And even though it's not about relationships per se, it's not about being married, it's about learning how to love yourself, and then to give that love to someone else. Because in the beginning, I thought I owned Cece, like I told you before. Like, I thought, hey, you're my wife, we signed these papers, I own you. Don't mean I'm treating her bad, nothing like that, but like, hey, that's my wife. Like, you don't. I remember a guy in Panama, he came up and he was like, hey, can I speak to her? And I was like, no. You talk to me, then I'll let you know if you can talk to her directly. And the person I am today, I'm like, man, that was an asshole. Like, the guy literally just had a question about how she get her dreads so long, and it was something so simple, but I took it to this toxic level because I had this toxic image of being a husband inside of me, and I had to release a lot of that. And so this is one of the things that I started realizing. For a relationship to truly work, you have to learn to be a giver and a taker, but in a very specific way. Everything works in an exact order in this physical world. And the way it works is you have to learn how to take parts of yourself and give it to the marriage. Meaning, we all have usually these checklists of, oh, my partner need to do this, and this. She need to look like this, have this type of money, have her nails and just all of these things done, cook and clean, blah, blah, blah. And we need to throw a lot of that stuff away. We need to take away a lot of the things that we expect from someone. And then we need to give what we want in the relationship. And just to give you an example, one of the things, this is something that Cece and I became really, really great at. And this is how our relationship was resonating so well, when people be like, oh man, it can be in a crowded room and it's just them two sitting in a corner talking to each other, because we loved each other. Our relationship was so much full of love. We gave all the love that we had into our relationship. And the way that I did it personally was I stopped going out. I stopped drinking. Like, even people in Colombia, they'll tell you like, yo, at a certain time, Jason's leaving and going home to Cece. Like, or if you call him at any day, he'll tell you if he don't want to leave. Like, I stopped giving all of my external time to other people. And I started doing that, giving that to just Cece, to the marriage. We started having date nights. We used to have it where every Sunday when we were living in DeSoto, we would go to the movies for a matinee. And people be like, man, y'all always going to the movies. Then, because we love going to the movies so much, we started giving more to the relationship. Like, hey, let's go have brunch after the movie. Hey, let's go for a walk after the movie. Okay, hey, for the relationship, let's start getting season tickets to the Broadway play. This is the key. You have to give to the relationship. What do you want the relationship to do? How do you want the relationship to look? How do you want to feel in that relationship? Like, you have to start focusing on the emotions instead of just the physical things, because you're going to get a lot of physical things. Yes, you can get the person with the money. You can get the person who can look beautiful or have the six-pack abs, all of that. But if you're not getting the emotional fulfillment in the relationship, that relationship is going to end, and it's guaranteed. And so really focus on what type of person you want what type of relationship you want it to look like. And I'm just leave on this, because I don't want this video to be too long before I start crying thinking about Cece, is like, really focus on this if you want a relationship. And I really want to speak to guys on this, because this is really a thing I see a lot with guys. You do not own your partner. Your partner is only being borrowed to you. It's on a temporary lease from God. The hardest lesson I had to learn, that had to help me get over the passing of Cece, was I didn't own her. At the end of the day, she was not my wife. Yes, I had papers saying we were married, blah, 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 but she was not my wife. God temporarily loaned her to me to help me expand on how I could love. And that's what relationships are. It's to help us expand on how to love one another. It's not about the physical things. we have to start moving more into an emotional awareness. We have to start moving into a world where we love each other, where, you know, so many things that we want to disappear overnight, but we're not willing to let it go in our heart. And so really focus on that. If you really want a good relationship, just remember the person you're gonna be with is it's a temporary loan from God. There's going to come that day God called them back home, and you're gonna have to accept it. And you're gonna have to realize from that time with that person, how much love did you expand in yourself so you can start giving more love to the world. So I hope you got some value from this. Let me get out here before I start crying. But this has been really great talking to everyone here. It's been really great being in Johannesburg. I'm loving it here. And you're gonna see a lot of more things to come in the future on the channel. Some really big things, because I'm gonna show you how much love CC helped me expand to. And I'm gonna spread that to Johannesburg.